Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We start Wednesday's edition with powerboat racing. Sara Misir is no stranger to breaking barriers in the sporting arena, and the 26-year-old motor race driver who achieved many firsts in motorsports is now embarking on a new venture. Misir has signed with Team Blue Rising for Season 2 of the E1 Series, the world's first all-electric race boat championship. The team is co-owned by the Indian iconic cricketer Virat Kohli and sports tech entrepreneur Adi K. Mishra. The second season of the E1 Series begins on the 25th of January in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And here to tell us more about this exciting development is the lady herself, Sara Misir. Welcome to the show, Sara. It's not the first time that you've been on the Zone, but the first time to talk about boat racing. We are all anxious to hear how this got started, and at what point did you develop an interest in racing on the sea? Because your normal occupation is racing on land.
Yes, there is very little asphalt out there, and it is a very, very different feeling. And fundamentally, racecraft and racing, the fundamentals are all there, and how you judge different aspects. But, you know, in a boat, of course, every lap is completely different, because you're not on asphalt. You know, you hit your marks, you hit your corners, you hit your braking zones. It's always the same consistency every lap. But on the water, you know, the tide can change, the wind can change, the water is different, the wake from other boats. So there's so many more elements, and it's very challenging, which is something I really like about it. And, you know, growing up in Jamaica surrounded by water, always being at the beach, you know, it's always kind of connected to the water. I've always loved being out on the water. So it's exciting. It's definitely different.
So up to this point in your life, how much boat racing have you done?
Absolutely none. Never. Correction, I used to sail when I was younger.
But not racing.
But I sailed. I did one championship that I won the championship as a junior in the Picos, but that was so long ago, and that was...
And sailing,
sailing is
the
much
vehicle
slower.
doesn't have an engine.
No, no, it doesn't. It's very, very different. So even going into Jeddah, because I leave this Saturday, and we're going up there just to finish this. It's called the E1 Super License to race these boats. So I had to first go to Monaco and get a standard powerboating license, which is just learning how to park a boat and move off and all these different things. So I'm literally going from zero, absolutely no experience, to pro.
Yeah. I know your publicist and agent, Tanya Lee, has done a spectacular job with getting your work out there for the world to see, because you've broken so many barriers as a woman in motor racing. But how did you get this gig? What attracted these race owners to you as a competitor for them?
Well, this sport is very new. Last year, 2024, they had their very first season, because these boats are, you know, revolutionary to the sport. They're all electric, they're based on sustainability, and they're hydrofoils. So it's not just a basic powerboating technique. So they are kind of set to kind of expand the sport and get other drivers from different sports and show them that, you know, to grow it. So they reached out to me on socials, and I've never said no to an opportunity. And it's still racing.
Yeah.
It's still racing. So I said, you know what, why not? Because last thing I want to do is regret it, that I never took the chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they called me, for example, on a Wednesday. I was on a flight to Friday straight to Monaco.
2 days.
To go, yeah, within 2 days,
Yeah.
I packed my bags. I had my family come in, they're like, where are you going? Like, they just saw my suitcase, and I was like, well, I gotta go to the airport. So it was, you know, pick it up, go, try it, put my all into it, and well, now we're here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the second season of this event. It will be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Have you been there before?
No. I had to
So
Google everything.
What are you expecting?
I actually don't know, because, you know, there has been, especially in Jeddah, has been very changing in terms of women and women's rights. So it's very good to see that now they're pushing women in sports and motorsports, and having this championship where you have one male and one female driver. So it's very amazing to see the diversity, and in places like Saudi Arabia. So I'm going there with very open-minded and, you know, to respect their culture and their traditions and all these things that I had to research and look up. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for you as well. And one of the things from interviewing you previously is that you are very open-minded. You know, you're willing to jump at any task at hand and, of course, excel. How much different has training been now for this event? Because, as you said, it's water. I mean, it's a whole different sport. You had to apply to get that license and everything. How much have you had to tweak things that you already know?
Oh, I had to go in there knowing I know nothing.
Okay.
So thankfully I had an amazing coach that was with me from the start. Her name's Claire Toohey. She's Irish. So it was very nice having an Irish coach because it's a connection to the Jamaican culture as well and very similar minded. So she was very straight with me. She told me, it's like, Sarah, when you go in the boat, you know nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm going in the boat. I know nothing. So it was mainly just being able to follow instructions, understand what she's saying, and I had to do a lot of reading and learning. So for example, on hydrofoils, it doesn't act the same as a regular powerboat. So it's a matter of learning even the physics behind it, understanding why the boat lifts up the water and all these different aspects about it, and being able to take that and what my coach is saying and put it all together and race the boat. So it's very exciting. It's very cool.
I remember in one of our previous interviews, I spoke to you about, you know, just breaking barriers and doing things that no one has done before, especially when you did Formula Woman, right? How much will it mean to you if you were to go into this series, smash it, and come back to Jamaica as a champion, as a winner?
Well, honestly, the biggest part of it is I'm so happy I'll be able to put Jamaica on the map for yet another sport.
Yeah.
And, you know, to show that I am 26-year-old, I'm starting a brand new sport again.
What?
Again. And it's just a matter of being open-minded and showing that nothing's impossible, and just your work ethic and your attitude really can take you a long way.
How much, Sarah, has your sporting background from your child benefits you now that you are on the international circuit? Because I know as a child you were into horseback riding and so on, so you do have a background of competing. So having had that kind of platform in your very early years, do you see that triggering more tenacity in you as you compete now internationally in different sports?
I do think it's nothing but a pro in all the different sports. I mean, the competitiveness wasn't even in sports. I remember when I was little, I used to get in the car and it was who could put on your seatbelt first with my father, and who could do like different math questions in the car. So it's always been a matter of staying on my toes. And I think in every aspect of my life, in every challenge, it has always been a question of adaptability. And even in high school, I mean, in high school, my passion, of course, was equestrian. That was my main focus. But as a busybody, I would do football, volleyball, swimming, tennis, anything I could fit into my schedule, I'd try and do it. Even things like cheerleading at school, I'd do it, because why not? Because it's fun. And the diversity in the sports that I did, and especially in horseback riding, gave me a lot of discipline and work ethic and adaptability, of course. So it's all been good.
Talk to us about your trip to Italy in the past week, because you did some preparation training for the boat E-Series. What was that like, and how easily did you find yourself, you know, getting attached to it?
Well, from the first time when I went to Monaco, I instantly fell in love with it, and it was a different type of connection. And in Italy, I think I unlocked a new fear, because to be able to do this, I had to, when you're racing in a closed cockpit boat, you have to be able to exit if the boat flips. So of course in the race car, if the car flips, there's no water around you. So it was a matter of, they put me in a cockpit and they had to walk me through the scuba gear, and because in the boat, if it flips, you have a scuba that you have to breathe and calm down and get yourself out. And of course, so here it was a matter of keeping calm. And one of my biggest fears, which I'm sure is very common for others, is drowning.
Yeah, of course.
So I had to put on my gear, which is a helmet and a hand unit.
Which is what we just had a look at.
Right,
the video,
and that was a matter where they strapped me in, as you can see, and they closed the cockpit and they explained to me, okay, you need to open it up. It's going to flip over. You have to let, because you see all the holes, you have to let the cockpit fill with water So you have to sit there while it fills, which takes about 3 seconds to fill.
Wow.
So you have to watch it fill, stay calm, and you can't unstrap yourself before because I'm seat belted in.
Yes.
So I had to open the door, unstrap myself, and swim out. And I had to do it twice.
Yes.
And they were explaining to me, sorry, we can build up to it. We won't strap you in the first time. I was like, no, just give me everything. Just strap me in. The least amount of times I have to do this, the better.
So you did
the
it
amount
twice.
of chlorine that went up my nose that day was unrealistic.
Did you list swimming among the things you did earlier?
Yes, so
Okay, 'cause
thankfully
I was just trying to remember
I'm a
now that I saw
confident
that.
swimmer.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I grew up swimming and on the swim team, so the water didn't scare me as much as swimming out. But the things that I never noticed, of course, you don't know the worst case scenarios until like they put you through simulations like that. So after I did that, they put me into the race bird and I sat in the race bird. I was like, this is nothing like the simulated cockpit that they put me in.
Correct.
It is very dark in there. And then I thought about it, like pools have lights. Lakes do not have lights. The sea does not have lights. So if I flip, it is going to be completely dark. There's no way you can assimilate a flip in these boats because they're not going to flip it for you in the moment. So I was like, okay. And then my friends thankfully calmed me down by saying, just don't get eaten by a shark. And I was like, this does not help me in my fears of the boating. But of course, every sport has its dangers. And it's a matter of just remaining calm and remembering the different things that you run through. So it was very interesting, that Italy trip. But in the race bird on the hydrofoils, when that boat lifts and the technique that you have to learn to drive it, and it's very technical. Yeah. But once you get it, it's a loving feeling. It's just like you're flying almost.
Yes.
Wow.
Exhilarating.
Very, very.
And because of your sport, you like speed, and speed turns you on.
Yes, that I cannot deny. It is a fast boat, and the speed is a plus.
do you know anything about your opposition in Jeddah this weekend?
Yes.
Or later this month?
Well, yes. Most of them are all seasoned, so they're all been racing.
But then it gives you an advantage because they don't know what to expect from you.
Which is another thing. So what I realized, even when I was racing in Monaco, and we had to race against other girls that were there and guys, and I realized that people are very timid in the boats. So I tend to be a little more aggressive, and I was like, well, I'm just going to throw it, and they're going to chicken out, and I'm going to beat them to the corner. So that has been working for me so far. But, it all comes with its pros and cons, and I'm ready to go to Jeddah and have an open mind, and I'm ready to learn a lot because, of course, I don't want to go there with the expectations of, yeah, man, I'm a bit fast, I'm going to win. Of course, I want to do that.
Yes.
But I'm ready to go there with the intention to do my best and learn as much as I can. Because the faster I learn is the quicker I can get to win.
Every time I talk to you, Sarah, I get excited about the growth and the rise of Caribbean performers in motorsport. Yourself, Fraser McConnell and Alex Powell, and from Barbados, Zane Maloney, making huge international strides in motorsport. And that is something, it's sort of a new avenue for Caribbean competitors to blossom in, because it's not, 20 years ago, the Caribbean didn't have people in motorsport performing at the international level as we are seeing now.
Right. I've always told people that Jamaica is full of talent, full of so many people that have the potential to make it anywhere in the world. But unfortunately, because the opportunities are always so slim, and what I'm hoping for is that when they see, myself, McConnell, Powell, all of us, getting there, doing bigger things and pushing and working for it, that for them too, you can try. Because I always tell people, the worst thing that you can do is regret not trying. Because if you try, at least you can say, I gave it my all. There was a possibility, there's an open door, run through it, because those doors don't open very often.
Okay, well, this E1 boat series that you're now embarking on, how will you straddle that with your other motor racing, Formula Woman events and so on? Is there a chance that it would interfere in any way? How will you program your calendar?
Well, thankfully, the calendar between the Jamaican Championship and the Caribbean Championship and this E1 hasn't so far given any lure that they're colliding.
Yeah.
Good.
So thankfully I'll be able to do both, but as the year progresses, it's just a matter of playing it by ear and making sure that, you know, we can balance it well. But E1 does have for this year my priority because I see a lot of potential and love in it for me.
Is it something financially attractive to you? What's the sort of...
It's just something where I haven't been able to click with a sport like I do with the boats, like
for real?
since I used to ride horses. Because riding horses was, of course, my first passion. I started when I was 3 years old, and that feeling when you connect with the horse and you're riding, everything goes well, it's very similar to the boats. Because it's not something that you have to fight it to turn or things like that. You have to literally feel the boat and you have to feel the water and you have to understand things that are unspoken.
Which is a little different from a car.
Very different
Yes,
from a
yes.
car. So those aspects are not similar. You know, the car, you have all the data, you have everything. And of course, there's still an aspect of you need to feel the car and how it's behaving.
Yeah.
But with the water, there's so many outside aspects that affect you.
But
that
a lot of
it's really,
unknowns though.
Exactly. So even that, and there's things that when the day comes, there's data that you come from the boat, there's physics behind it with the water, you know, there's never one single way that you can drive the boat. It's just a matter of connecting with it and feeling what it's doing and feeling how the water is behaving underneath you and just adapting to it. It's like, it's not something that's very coachable. It's something where it's, even my coach told me that it's something you just have to feel, like she can't explain everything. So it's something, it's really great to feel that again.
Sara, it's really great having you on the SportsMax Zone. Always a pleasure to entertain you on this show. And really excited for you.
Thank you.
Because you're so excited about this boat series coming up. And we wish you all the best in Jeddah this weekend as you get ready for the January 25 competition.
Yes.
And we really hope you will do well. And we will be keeping in touch with you because this interview has tweaked my interest as to, you know, the excitement of the event and how well you will do in it. So thanks a lot for dropping by and we'll talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk again
Welcome.
soon.
Take care.
All right, Sara Misir, star performer, competing in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia later this month in the E1 Boat Racing Championship Series. And she's competing for a team part owned by the outstanding Indian iconic cricketer Virat Kohli. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.